Tuning you in now to the LBX Show with your host, Brandon Wiley. Brought to you by the LBX Collective, your community to connect, engage, and inspire.
All right, well, welcome everybody to the LBX Show. This is the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania edition. I am in a hotel room in Philadelphia. I'm racing this weekend at the head of the Schuylkill. So yeah, I've got a couple of races. So anyway, I'm here and we're ready to do it. So we've got a great show lined up for you today. And we're going to dive right into some news you should know. And then we'll have a relatively robust open and shut with Kevin Williams. We're going to review all the opening and closing trends for the week. And then we're going to hear from Adam Pratt with Arcade Corner. He teases some of the upcoming Raw Thrills releases. He can't get into all the details right out of the gate, but then he actually moves into some Exa Arcadia news, so that'll be good stuff. And then we're going to close out with promo pro tips from Chuck Tamonte, and he's going to share on how to get visitors and keep visitors by running out-of-home ads. So that is our show lined up for you today, and we're going to kick it off with some news you should know. Well, it is the Expo time, IAAPA Expo time frame, and so we've got a couple of things to talk about here. So first of all, at IAAPA Expo, we've got the LBX Collective Speakeasy returning. I did mention this last week. I'm going to keep mentioning it here for the next few weeks until the week of IAAPA. And basically Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in our booth number 4402, we will have a speakeasy open inside of the backdrop of our booth. So we will be serving Negronis, serving old fashions, and then a really, really, really yummy cocktail called our Galaxy. It's a cocktail I made up. It was a crowd pleaser last year. In fact, that we served more Galaxies than we did anything else. And so I definitely highly recommend you swing by the LBX Collective booth for one of our cocktails and hang out with us in our speakeasy. You can see a couple of pictures. We had different visitors throughout each day, and that's 4:30 every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Friday is the last day. We might end up doing something Friday, we'll see, but that is that. So also on Sunday, November 16th, there is a IAAPA, there's an annual golf tournament at Rosen Shingle Creek. And then that is a fundraiser for Give Kids the World. And then Thursday, something I always participate in is Footprints from the Heart. And that is for Thursday, November 20th. And that is the annual 5K run. And this actually takes place at Give Kids the World Village. The links here are to actually go and register, and we'll also put in the show notes, but then you can scan the QR code on the screen here. And basically we're looking for participants, we're looking for sponsors, and I've got an LBX Collective team set up for Footprint, so you can either sponsor the team, or you can actually, or you can just come and run, or run the 5K with me, or walk the 1K with your other friends, and that'd be awesome to have you guys out there. So if you're not familiar with Give Kids the World, they basically provide cost-free vacations for children battling really critical illnesses, and it's just an amazing set of programs that they do there, and the facility is just absolutely amazing. The houses are so cool. The village that you run through and walk through is also amazing. So highly recommend that. You can scan these QR codes here, and you can go ahead and donate or join the team and go for a run. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about here is a new mini golf place, a new outdoor mini golf course that promises to, as they say, surround guests with great music and good vibes. And it is set to open up in Houston here any day now. And they have 18 holes of mini golf. It's pretty standard outdoor mini golf. There's an additional that we give guests an opportunity to win a free round of mini golf. So oftentimes what you'll see is on the 18th hole, that's typically done. In this case, they added a 19th hole with that option. So they have that ability to win the new venue. And they're basically finishing up the lighting and the landscaping. And if you actually visit their website, you can see some of their under construction photos. So it's kind of cool what they've done. They've got their website up. It's it's an okay website, but like they've got the website up and running, and they've got photos about what it's going to look like. It's under construction. So that's always good to keep people in the loop. They've got a covered patio. It's got 1,000 square feet, and music from various decades and genres will complete the venue's design. Guests will also be able to purchase beer and seltzers and soft drinks. There's no cocktails or hard alcohol. But why am I talking about this? Okay, like why isn't this on open and shut? Well, I thought what was really interesting is they actually have a Spotify soundtrack and playlist that they've got on their website. So you can actually go to their website and click play to get the party started. Again, the whole thing, I guess, is party mini golf. So they created a party playlist for their mini golf. And I just thought it was a really unique thing. Again, their website doesn't have a lot else going on because obviously they're still under construction, but they're getting people excited by having this playlist, their little community mini golf location. And I just thought it was a creative thing to do. How many venues have I seen that have actually created a playlist? First of all, a custom Spotify playlist venue. And second of all, actually embedded it on their website. Very few, if none. So I thought this was really unique and felt like it was worthwhile sharing with you guys. All right, and then the other thing I want to talk about is Meow Wolf. Meow Wolf has their location opening in Los Angeles in 2026, so coming up very soon. They haven't given an exact opening date yet for their Los Angeles location, Radio Tave, but it should be coming soon. But the reason I wanted to bring this up here is they're actually working with a company called WorldBuildr. I've actually had a conversation with these guys. They've got some pretty interesting tech. Basically, what they do is they have a platform for creating interactive digital twins of a specific location-based entertainment venue or an amusement park or whatever. So they create a full exact replica of your location, and then they actually go and basically then feed in people, and you can increase the volume of people, and then the people kind of spread out. And what it's really known for is to help to empower creative teams to design and test like complex physical digital experiences before the opening day. They say in their world, in their quotes, it's designed to support experienced designers, technical directors in visualizing, testing, and evolving complex physical digital spaces. They say from early concept to operational optimization, the platform brings spatial design, show control, guest behavior, simulation, and team collaboration into a single digital environment. So they say that Meow Wolf, by creating this digital twin of their facility, new LA venue, Meow Wolf can go even further using data to anticipate outcomes, fine-tune complexity, so that opening day feels less like an act of heroism and more like the celebration it's meant to be. Okay, that's, whatever fancy words, but this is a really interesting tool and platform to be able to, as you're building a new location, or maybe potentially expanding your existing location, or thinking about remodeling and reworking your guest flow, this is a tool that can come in, they can create a digital version of your facility and then actually feed people into it that are little AI generated people that are going to come follow and walk around, and they just kind of test to see where bottlenecks are for queuing and different things are. And I've seen, again, really interesting use cases. I've seen the full demo for WorldBuildr before they fully released the platform, and it really is a pretty cool thing. And I thought it was interesting that they just announced this week that they're working with me on this platform. Now, the last thing I'll say is actually they had in this press release for WorldBuildr and Meow Wolf's collaboration, they had a really, I think, what I think best description of Meow Wolf's offering that I've ever heard so far. And I'll just read it in exact word for word. Meow Wolf is known for its radically creative spaces, deep commitment to narrative complexity, and the storytelling style that unfolds in fragments scattered across rooms and layers. And I thought that was, okay, when people say, well, what is Meow Wolf? And you're like, oh, it's like this art installation meets this kind of weird, crazy story. And like, what is it? And I thought that was a really succinct, clear way to describe what Meow Wolf is. It is, they have radically creative spaces, they have narrative complexity, and their storytelling unfolds in bits and pieces across multiple rooms and layers. Beautiful, succinct, it's great, I love it. So great job with the press release and whoever wrote that little tidbit there. But that is WorldBuildr, and that is Meow Wolf's collaboration with them. All right, the last thing I want to talk about, because it just opened this last weekend in, on the 16th of October. This is the new Dungeons and Dragons immersive experience, and it's called Dungeons and Dragons: The Immersive Quest. It's a 60-minute experience that combines live theater, cinematic storytelling, different interactive challenges inside a multi-room environment, and they've got live characters, obviously. So what's cool is like guests will actually get to choose their adventurer before traveling through some of the iconic D&D locations. Like they'll have the Yawning Portal in Waterdeep as an example, as an attempt to retrieve a magical item from a dragon. And so they just got some really cool stuff going on here. And actually, I'll throw up their website because I thought it's like, they've got their, I got to pull this off first. Here we go. All right. So, here's their website, and you can just see some of the stuff that's going on in the background. I'll just kind of let that play while I finish, keep talking about this thing here. So, you're going to see other iconic Dungeons and Dragons characters. There's the Reholder, the Roper, the Gelatinous Cube, and others. It's a 16,000 square foot attraction. It's got different soundscapes. There's all different like interactive multimedia. They have real live characters. They have themed food and beverage and like a whole themed bar. And so, they're just really excited, these guys, about their partnership with Hasbro. And what I thought was also really interesting, by the way, is that this isn't like a Fever installation. This is kind of like feels a little bit like a Fever installation, but I think it's like a little bit more well done. It's done by a company called Ever Studios, and they licensed Hasbro and then licensed like a sub-license of Wizards of the Coast, which is what, who puts on D&D. And they had they debuted this originally in Toronto, Canada, and it had like 30,000 guests, and they actually decided to extend the run there. And then now they're opening this location in Plano, Texas. And, where they have opened this location in Plano. And then, there's also like, if you're like really into D&D, then you have there's a tour going on also called Dungeons and Dragons Theatrical Experience. It's the 20-sided tavern, and so that's happening across, so you can get your D&D on there. But this is really good because this is the first time really D&D has been placed in a location-based entertainment environment, and we're constantly seeing more and more IP being used, especially from groups like Hasbro, Mattel, etc. Right? So this type of stuff happening on a regular basis. All right, that is news you should know. Coming up next, we'll have some open and shut with Kevin Williams.
Intercard is the only cashless system designed, developed, and manufactured all under one roof. They introduced cashless technology to the amusement industry and have been leading the way for over 30 years. Cashless systems from Intercard increase customer spending, guest satisfaction, and boost revenues by up to 30%. Intercard is so proud to be serving the amusement industry, and if you aren't already part of their global family of customers, they hope you will become one soon.
Hey, a big hello to everyone. Hope we find you well, Brandon.
Oh yeah, doing well so far this week. It's it's good. We're recording this a little bit earlier than we normally do, so we'll see. We're missing a few things. We'll see.
Oh, I doubt that we are.
All right. Well, let's dive into it.
Okie dokie. So again, the normal format. Pause if I zip through anything too fast, but let's jump straight into the first ones. And of course, we knew that Level99 had signed the deal with our friends at Disney Springs, and the facility is now open, 45,000 square, mission room kind of experience, or I would call it more of an active entertainment facility with a score matrix behind it. Their third facility, part of an eager rollout, but this particular site is very important because it's going into the location that had the NBA experience that was such a dismal failure for Disney. And now we're sort of at that point where we need an entertainment experience in this particular locality to prove its worth and also generate some revenue.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big Level99, 45,000 square feet, 60 challenges. So that's actually a great number, especially if they're expecting high volume, expecting repeat visitation. The interesting thing is, though, for like this, unless you're trying to draw people from the local Orlando area to Level99, like the repeat visitation is not really going to be something that they would need. I think maybe the 60 rooms or the 60 challenges we'll call it, but really they're kind of their rooms is just for volume. I think they're hoping that there's just going to be a big enough volume that they just need space for people to be able to move around and not be waiting outside of a room to go in and do another challenge.
This is a little bit of a sore point with me. The space in which the NBA experience went into was Disney Quest, the project that I worked on in Imagineering, the successful as well as the failing indoor entertainment concept. We had done the studies of what that market could bear, and really, I am concerned that I don't think 60 rooms of the same thing again and again and again without any F&B. I know Disney Springs has F&B, but you have to be mindful of the size of this facility and the duration of dwell. Anyway, enough of Mr. Doom and Gloom over here. We wish them a lot of luck. I look forward to popping into the space when we're down there for Orlando. Sorry.
Oh no, just one thing I would say just about F&B. They do intend to have, they have some scratch made food there, and they do have beer, cocktails, and then they have this Detroit style pizza that they will be putting in there. So like there will be some F&B in the facility, but it's not to the same level, obviously, that you're going to have at all the other restaurants that are around Disney Springs. And frankly, I think people are probably going to come there to do the Level 99 and go to one of the other restaurant experiences, and not necessarily, they might have maybe an app there and then that's it. I don't think they're going to have their meal at Level 99.
Yeah, so when I say there's no F&B, food and beverage, there are snacks there and light shareables, but nothing really to warrant a longer dwell time stay. But again, we will wait and see and hold our powder dry. Another large indoor entertainment facility going in, this time with roller skates capability, again 40,000 square. The Ars Entertainment operation, they also have 3 facilities under their belt, so we're kind of seeing a similarity of launch pad entertainment offerings, hoping to prove themselves. This one's much more of a mule. It has laser tag, it has amusement, it also has the mini golf, and it has the skating, and hopefully offers enough of a compelling mix to entertain the Texan audience, who are in a very crowded market.
Yeah, I mean, I've been into an AR's entertainment hub in San Antonio, so I've been in their location there. That's a weird structure. They took over an old building. It's like a weird pole in the middle of their skate rink and stuff. But they, have a very, I would say, diverse and odd mix typically of attractions in here, but they're always centered around a roller rink, and so that's one of the things I think is interesting. But they do tend to have laser tag, mini golf. Those are always usually either done by Creative Works or Art Attack. So like they're usually one or the other in each of their locations. The one in San Antonio was actually one of the first locations in the U.S. that had a Valo arena, and it was doing very well as an unattended Valo arena. And this was a number of years ago actually when I was there, and so it was doing well. I think just for scale purposes, like when you think about an AR's entertainment hub taking over a former Cons Home Plus building, which those are big, obviously the roller rink floor is large square footage. This is smaller than the Level 99 we were talking about. The Level 99 is 45,000 square feet, just of mission rooms and some light F&B. Here you've got AR hub that's 40,000 square feet, 5,000 square feet smaller, with a broad mix of attractions. So, again, this comes back to your concern here with the Level 99 installation. It's just too big of a space. They probably should have split it up between 2 different things. If we go back to that Level 99, it's just a lot of square footage to try to use up for one type of attraction.
I speak from experience of trying to work out the entertainment mix that was suitable for a 45,000 square. To be honest, the Disney Quest was actually larger than 45,000. It was more closer to the 80,000 with the 5 floors. But again, a story for another day. At the end of this day, though, a mule, a mixed-use leisure entertainment, utilizes the space, offers a dwell time, and avoids one-and-done syndrome. And again, that's something that, of the 3 facilities of Level 99, we haven't seen them prove the one-and-done mantra is not applicable to them. Anyway. A large entertainment space, half the size, near enough, of what we've been talking about, 26,000 square, dedicated wholly over to a brand new concept. It's not such a new concept, but for this particular operation, this is their first venture into the arena scale shared reality VR experience. You know the format. You put the headset on, a group of you go around, and you navigate through an experience or adventure. And the on offer is either wandering around the pyramids or on Titanic, A little bit of edutainment style components. Again, no food involved in this process other than maybe light snacks and a coffee or a beer, but it is hoping to be an example of the shared reality virtual environment or virtual adventure venue. Some people like to call this the next stage for the museum experience. I'm keeping my powder dry again and saying that this is more edutainment, and it needs to prove itself that it can generate that all-important repeat visitation.
Yeah, I have an issue with this especially as a standalone build. Very, very impressive architecture, especially at the front entrance, the lobby. But when you come in again, obviously it's a VR arena, so it's going to have some symbols on the floor and on the walls so that it can get its orientation. But the experience here, we're familiar. You might be the Horizon of Khufu. So we've got that. It's a relatively standard experience. They've got the Life Chronicles, which is about just history over time. You get the dinosaurs, etc. And so those are the two experiences they have. Like there's no
at the moment.
Yeah, at the moment, right? I mean, it is a VR theater, and so hopefully they'll introduce new experiences, and like that's the one thing that'll maybe keep them going. I really feel like instead of trying to be the new version of a museum, these types of experiences are really better suited to like drop into a 10,000 square foot space in a museum or whatever, right? In a natural history museum, drop in Life Chronicles or something to that extent. A standalone space may not be necessarily sustainable over time.
We've been through this phase, as I would call it, phase 3 or 2 of the current VR experience that we're going through. A number of developers thought that they could place these kinds of arena scale virtual experiences and adventures into museums, only to find out that most people in the museum sector have a very limited perception of mixing their entertainment with their museum or education gathering, and they weren't prepared to put their hand in their pocket for a $40 to $50 experience for half an hour when they'd only allotted a certain amount of time to spend at the museum. And then the museums also have limitations of walk-in traffic and rental traffic. As soon as it gets to 6 o'clock, the doors close, and that means that you have no access to the arena, so you're losing out on long term. This is why a lot of these kinds of virtual adventure operations now go for their own private facility space where they can control the access, opening hours, and also can do other things such as private hire.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say, and I know we have a lot to cover, but is on this front, if they are trying to go and try to be the new version of a museum, it would be interesting to understand, and I can't find this on their website, if they actually have a merch, or gift shop as you're leaving, right? So this would be a perfect opportunity. Hey, I just saw these dinosaurs up close in this VR. As I'm coming out, I can buy dinosaur stuffies or dinosaur figures or other things that are related to the experiences I have. I do notice that they have a VIP version of their ticket. So it's their Khufu experience, for example, is $33 for an adult, $45 for VIP. It allows you to skip the line, but you also go home with a gift. You take home a special keepsake to remember your experience. That tells me that they've developed something as a way to, for people to remember, but this would be a perfect opportunity to add a gift shop layer to increase the per cap as well.
I did the universe. Let's see, this was the gladiatorial experience that they do, linked in to their Pompeii, and they made a point of having a heavy merchandise component, but that, funny enough, was linked to a museum and exhibition space in Madrid. Whether these facilities have thought far enough to include merch, we'll need to find out from a second source. Hopefully, maybe one of our listeners and watchers could stick their head in the door and find out if they do. Moving on, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but just to give an example of the explosion of the new wave claw machine business currently in the market, and Louisiana is being molested by a number of these sites. So we have the claw and we have the super claw down. It's nice to see that originality isn't dead in the naming department. All of these are looking at themselves as kinds of incubators toward multiple. They all fit into mall units or into retail units in shopping areas, and they're all offering the same thing, which is high-level merch with the right crane systems with the capability for upscaling, depending on how many of the smaller items you have acquired. And I would posit that there is, trouble ahead regarding this particular business, regarding our industry, but maybe we can talk about that more in sound off.
Yeah, that's a good sound off one. I think one thing I'll just say about the PokeClaw is that I like the fact that besides the fact that they've very clearly tried to rip off, but not rip off the logo, which is concerning. But I do like at least the fact that they've themed their merchandise. So like if you're into Pokemon, you can go in there and you're going to get PokeClaw merchandise. I don't know that they're running it the way that maybe a new gen claw cage should be run. But look, if you want Pokemon merch, then Pokemon's the place to get it, I guess.
Do you really want to poke the bear that is Nintendo by just even touching close to their IP? You may find it interesting. As an advisor to certain clients, I would tell them to stay very clear of it. But I'm looking forward to PokeClaw proving me wrong. And so in 12 months' time, when we come back to see how they're doing, I look forward to seeing now under new management owned by Nintendo.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure that this is going to last a year anyway, but anyway, that's fine.
That is another part of our discussion when we talk more about this. Social entertainment, doing the rounds. Everybody's now thinking about adding some component of the competitive socializing mix to their retinue of facilities. Here we have Throw Social. Again, it is cookie cutter. It has the cocktails. It has the shareable foods. It has the outside entertainment, the cornhole, and it has the inside with obviously the darts and the ping pong. And I was even led to believe that there's maybe some amusement dotted around the space. But it is a formula that is now replacing, in many cases, the traditional sports bar by now. Let's build a social entertainment venue.
Yeah. Okay. This is their third location, so something must be working at some level. But this one is interesting to me. Really
a restaurant. Sorry, please.
Well, no, it's beautiful inside. So it just is absolutely gorgeous. Their F&B looks amazing. Like I think what you were starting to say is like their restaurateurs layering on a social component, and I think their social component is just lacking. And I think it will be, if they can stay focused on the food and the drink and the overall experience with their live music and their karaoke and brunches and birthday parties and bachelorette parties and all that kind of stuff, I think they'll continue to do well. Again, but as a social entertainment venue, I think they're struggling with their entertainment component.
If you have to depend on that, then you're going to have problems. But as I'm saying, the restaurateurs have contacts to real estate. They know how to do a build out. They know how to do staffing and operation. So that's one part of the problem solved. It's just that your puzzle is a two-piece puzzle. And if you haven't sorted out the entertainment side, then you could be boat anchoring your business. But again, 12 months' time, we'll come back and have a look. Talking of ValoMotion previously, and the Valo Park concept is now 2 facilities in. Their second operation based on their pop-up retail space, mixed entertainment based all around the ValoMotion suite of products. Their second one has opened up in South Africa, 1,250 square meters. So it's a reasonable size for this kind of space, and it's offering an active entertainment environment with a strong gamification. So we're 2 facilities in since they launched the concept end of last year. We'll be interested to see how many other retail venues take the plunge and parachute this kind of operation into their business.
Yeah, good to see that they're gaining some traction on the franchise side. I was a fan of their Vallow Park concept when they first announced it at the end of last year. Obviously been a fan of that for a while, so glad to see it's continuing to gain traction.
I was with the boys and girls at the Creative Works Amusement 360, and they were sharing some of their thinking about where they are in the market. And I think they'll want to keep a very close eye on the broader approach of not just social entertainment, not just gamification, but also their exergaming or fitness capabilities. Adds a new dimension to the offering that they bring to the table. Sandbox VR, their latest opening. Now the numbers claim that it's 68, so I think our database won the battle of the numbers. California, Sacramento, so very high level mall location for this. Funny enough, this was a location that was under consideration by another VR company. Our friends at The Void many years ago were actually looking at parachuting into this space. So it's a high level, high net worth retail space, the Gucci's and the Apple stores. The interesting thing from my point of view regarding this is that we've just had some announcements from our friends at Sandbox about their increased relationship with Netflix, which we will touch upon in a coming sound off, and that we're also getting a little bit more transparency to their financial plans and how they want to move forward. They're now promoting that their facilities are generating or attracting over 117,000 players monthly. Now, attracting, ticket sales, and actual business are three different things. So we need them to be a little bit more transparent on exactly what their business model is, because I think we're getting very close to some major restructuring and redevelopment plans from Sandbox.
Yeah. Just to run some quick numbers, I took that 117,000 players monthly. Let's assume that is actually the number of tickets sold and bookings done on a monthly basis across 68 facilities. Obviously some are going to be outliers, and some are going to be on both ends of the bell curve spectrum. But ultimately, if you take that divided by 25 days in a month, assuming there's some days that they're closed, 5 hours a day, that's about 13 guests or players per hour. If you have that, so that's let's say 2 rooms, maybe 3 rooms being utilized per hour, 5 hours a day for 25 days a month. It gives you a sense for the type of scale and volume that they're really seeing. And again, that's if we're having equal average experience, gameplay across each of their locations.
Average about $37 to $38 per player, and then factor in the 10 members of staff needed to operate the facility, and you get closer to the kinds of numbers from a franchise point of view this is going to generate. Because remember, a franchisee is going to also have to pay the additional amount for the licensing of the content, and also for the ownership of the Sandbox VR, the maintenance of the headsets, the cleaning materials needed. Once you get into the minutiae, I've got a nice little Excel spreadsheet I can share with you if I wasn't under NDA. It would kind of go into that minutiae, and then when you see what the real bottom line number is, you can understand why some companies are very to reveal this type of information. Eclipso, very similar to the original VR immersive experience that we were talking about at the beginning. Again, using the same kind of technology, again, with groups of 45 individuals walking through an experience that usually lasts between 30 and 45 minutes. They have 30 sites out there. Now, these are sites that they operate. These are semi-pop-up, as in they're there for longer than a couple of months because of the leasing agreement, and they are working very hard on creating a lineup of content. They've had strong representation in Europe, and now through franchise agreements, they're looking at a wider dispersion of this approach, which is pushing out, in many cases, the more traditional VR arcade approach to this technology.
Yeah, Very similar issue, I think, that we talked about before, is just the limited repeat visitation because of just having the fact that they only have two experiences at their locations.
The particular facility also has the Titanic, so they're brand new to the addition of their rosters, their Titanic experience, and they have other experiences in the works. But as I was talking to a company recently about how long it takes to generate these type of 45-minute, 45 user experiences, these are not quick shakes. These are getting very close to the time scale that it takes to develop 60% of a AAA title. Moving on, and we have, Andretti's is a name in the karting scene, but also a name in the mule or the mixed-use leisure entertainment scenes. They've been able to cross the divide. And we have other Formula One Supremos who plow some of their money into entertainment offerings or museums. And in this particular case, Musa is a museum based on Alonso's phenomenal racing career in Formula One and karting, and he's also been involved in other race sports activities. So really you have a facility that is a museum. You have a place that is also a karting track. You have a facility that also offers entertainment, food and beverage. It is if you wanted the definition of the complete edutainment, museum attainment kind of experience, and this would fall into it, though predominantly come for the karting, stay for the museum feels a little bit of the approach that is being offered here. And it is interesting that the company has gone for a very specific karting manufacturer as their product of choice for their multi-track facility.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we have, the follow-on of that, where you have your karting experience, but you're positioning yourself more towards the Andretti's model of being a mule, where you have some entertainment, you have some food, you have some soft play, you have your laser tag, you're a bit of everything. Kangala, I hadn't come across this brand before. I don't really follow the Corsican sector that closely until now, but they are part of a 4-facility operation, and it will be fascinating to see if they want to move this concept that they have generated into the wider international marketplace. Our friends at Topgolf, Minnesota gets a new facility, 102 golf shooting bays in the outdoor experience, and absolutely zero indoor entertainment offering other than some bar. No mini golf, no arcades, no swing suites, simulator bays, just some party rooms, a shooting bay. So this is as vanilla as you can get at the moment, though do change, and if the operation doesn't generate the revenue as soon as it throws its doors open, then I wouldn't be surprised that they can parachute in secondary and tertiary entertainment models to this. This is an interesting point for us with Topgolf. This is 101. We have got to 111 facilities of Topgolf, franchise as well as independently owned, out there. We still haven't been given a date of when they're parting from Callaway Golf, and if my clock doesn't deceive me, we're heading to the end of the year. If we don't hear a statement before the end of November on exactly what the positioning statement is regarding their future business, then it's going to be very difficult for them to keep their franchisees happy, knowing that there is a strong business model there.
I just can't believe that they've continued to build these things without trying anything new, doing anything different. It's
well, they're
remarkable.
not building, are they? It's not them building. They have found a that will take on the IP. Someone you can't. One's born every moment. Now, nothing, hell has no fury like a franchisee scorned. And if they find out that they may have been sold a concept that needs a little bit more work, they're going to be very vociferous about that.
Yeah, yeah. This is a train wreck that will end up, or I should say, this is a train that will become a train wreck or fall off a bridge that has been blown up. It's inevitable. Something is going to happen here. There will be a collapse of some kind. You cannot continue to build these $50 million facilities, $50 million plus facilities, and not innovate, not change, especially when you have clear evidence that they have declining sales and that their year-over-year same venue sales continue to decline every single year.
Well, that's our birthday and Christmas cards from Topgolf struck out. But
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree. And as a friend of mine would call it, this is a slow motion car wreck taking place in front of us. We're not using 2020 or hindsight or anything like that. We are individuals that work in the industry and observe the numbers the same way their board must be able to. And we can see that there's a hole in the bottom of their boat. They can put as many blankets and life preservers on top of that hole and pretend it doesn't exist. But at some point in time, the water is going to get in. That's as far as I'm going to push this analogy for the time being, anyway. And dealing with those companies that have to face the hole in the bottom of their boat. In Ohio, we have the Swing and Things, which is thrown its doors open. They're looking for a sale of their space. It's quite a considerable number of outdoor entertainment components to Swing and Things. They also have an amusement space that needs a little bit of TLC. So again, they've been going 44 years. So all of our listeners and watchers who've been following the opens and shuts have seen of, after a certain period of time, 30, 40, 50 years, then it's time for a sale, transition, or acquisition. And again, this falls into it. And again, for the usual reason, the owners are retiring and they're moving on to better things, and they would like to get rid of their going concern to new owners. We wish them luck. In Tokyo, not everything is opening. Some things are closing, and some things are closing because of the changing landscape in that market. If you've been running 40 years amusement style facility, that's one thing. But our friends here have actually updated and kept. They're part of the chain of about 34 facilities under the Outdoors brand, and they have updated. Have brought in the latest of the crane machines. They have kept the amusement fresh, as well as the branding. But that point where the landlord who owns the building is now going to either have to pull it down or totally refurbish the space, and the operation here fails. It's easy to close down and move to one of their other sites, or possibly open up a brand new site in appropriate building close to the original location. So not a sign of problem, other than just a sign of the changing landscape within the Tokyo real estate market. Now, this is a difficult one because getting information regarding this, it's like pulling teeth. So Plopsa Stations Antwerp is part of the Plopsa operation. We've talked about Plopsa before and the problems that they've been having with branding, but there's still quite a large number of facilities under the chain. Anyway, we wake up one day and find out after only 4 years of operation, they've decided that they're going to be closing the door at the beginning of next year of their Antwerp facility. Information is incredibly scarce on the reasoning behind this. Did it generate revenue? Is there something happening with where they've built this site? 4 years is nothing in this kind of investment in money and time to open a facility. And I get the feeling that there's a lot more to this. Maybe the accountants have got their sharp pencil and are cutting back on sites that aren't generating a certain type of revenue, or the locality where they put this facility in is not being suitable or conducive to what they want to achieve.
Yeah, I mean, this is to close a building like this down after 4 years is impressive. I mean, Plopsa obviously has Plopsa Land, has a number of amusement park locations. They have very well-known IP that people want, that the kids want to be involved with, interact with. But I mean, this is a multi-level, multi-attraction, really, full indoors amusement park. And really remarkable to see here that they have shut this thing down. I thought that this might have been maybe their attempt at, a smaller version of location-based entertainment, sort of vis-a-vis Disney Quest to Disneyland, but it's not, right? I mean, it really is a full-scale amusement park, but it happens to be all indoors. Remarkable that they're shutting this thing down after just 4 years.
They're not going to be able to sit on this information for much longer. So, I expect in the next couple of weeks that we will know the real reason why they're closing it down, no matter how much they would like to hide that from the masses. But anyway, we'll deal with it when we know more. And then, we kind of have certain locations that are, again, falling into that 40 and 30 and 50-year-old, rather than 4 years, long-term operations. Adventure Landings here, they're closing their doors. No reason has been given for that. And again, they already have, under the Landings brand, they have about 3 or 4 other facilities that are operating quite happily at the moment. So again, we don't know if this is just down to they want to divest themselves of this type of operation because it isn't generating the revenue. Maybe they've had a fantastic offer for the real estates to be turned into housing, or there is something else there. But again, no reason given either for this particular closure or the price that they would consider for sale. Sometimes you've got to be concerned that the space you're in is going to be transitioning, as we were talking about with the Tokyo Adeurs operation. One day you wake up and the landlord tells you that he's going to be totally refurbishing the facility and you're out on your ear, or the next day you suddenly find out that the shopping mall, shopping center component that you're part of is up for sale. So here in Coventry, if you've got about 15 mil burning a hole in your pocket, you can take on board this operation, which comes with a couple of entertainment facilities, competitive socializing venues already ensconced. And those guys must be chewing their fingernails down to the quick, hoping that whoever comes in as their new landlord will be as kind to them and allow them to continue their business.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they're showing permanently closed already online. So hopefully that doesn't mean that all these 9 restaurants and bars that are socializing units are also out of business.
Let's hope not. And then slightly outside of our bullywhip, but still important for us to be aware of, you wake up one morning and you suddenly find out that Pizza Hut's gone into administration. So our friends in the UK, the franchisees of the Pizza Hut chain, from Yum Brands. I always love the name of the people who own Pizza Hut. Yum Brands has jumped in as soon as this company fell into administration and has tried to save as many of the operations as they can in the UK because they are a going concern. But sadly, we will be losing 68 of these facilities in the UK, while another 64 have been given a stay of execution. But these are the interesting. If you can't make pizza work, then you've got to ask yourself some serious questions about your business acumen. And to be honest, I did a little bit of investigation into DC London Pie, and it was confusing of exactly how the operation was generating its revenue from a very popular UK franchise. The Pizza Hut franchise is as popular here in the UK as it is in the States and Europe. Anyway, that's a run through of the main developments that have been taking place. As always, hit me up on LinkedIn or via my email if you can give me some more information. And thank you to those that pointed me towards some of those stories, as well as please keep up with your Stinger and your entertainment arena. We have a number of issues coming out in the build up to IAAPA and beyond. and obviously you can listen and watch our fantastic coverage through all of our sources. But anyway, I hope I've covered everything, Brandon.
I think we've done well this week so far.
Well, then that's a big bye from me, and see you later.
If you run a location-based entertainment brand and want to attract more visitors, check out Radius. They use real-time location data and customized marketing strategies to help brands like yours stand out. Radius can boost your foot traffic and build a loyal customer base. Plus, they're offering a complimentary local market analysis to show you exactly how they can help you grow. Curious? Visit radius.co and ask about your free market analysis. That's RAYDIUS.co.
All right, well, that was great. Awesome. Thanks, Kevin, for that. Coming up next, we've got Arcade Corner with Adam Pratt. Let's get into it.
Hey everybody, it's Adam with Arcade Heroes for the Arcade Corner here at the LBX Collective. Welcome to the last week of October. I thought September was fast, and to me, October's gone by faster. I guess that's what happens as you get. But today's Arcade Corner is probably going to be brief. This October, I mean, every October is a little bit weird as far as arcade news goes, and don't mind the chirping from the bird there. But because sometimes there are a lot of the arcade companies will unveil a lot of stuff throughout the month of October. And then like this year, we're getting news and all these sudden spurts. And then there's a dearth of news. Like this week, I don't really have a whole lot to talk about. Whereas last time I had more to talk about than I had time for. And then this next week, most likely will be one of those, we're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about. Of course, all in the run up to IAAPA, which is less than a month from now. So one of the things that I can't really cover today, other than just mentioning what it is, like I can't share any media because it won't be publicly available until tomorrow. But Rothels is going to unveil their new jackpot racer, which is a videmption, as I like to call them, video redemption, arcade game with obviously racing for tickets. And they're also going to be fully unveiling their new Godzilla Kaiju Wars Deluxe, which does not have the VR headsets. And there are some other differences about it too. It's not just a lack of VR headsets that makes that different. But all that will be publicly available later this week. It's just right at the moment, we don't have anything to show you. So the one thing that I can talk about is a company that I've mentioned before various times, known as Arcadia. And what, if you haven't heard of them before, they're kind of like the modern Neo Geo NVS. And so if you ran an arcade in the 90s, if you didn't know what the Neo Geo was, then you don't know what you were doing because pretty much everybody knew about the Neo Geo MVS, a cartridge-based system, very low cost, easy to switch out games and such. And so they're doing a similar business model, in part because over in Japan, for the longest time, the business model was for manufacturers to force revenue shares on every single game. Even if you paid full price for the game, you still didn't own it. It's kind of a console thing like big companies over in the West love to do nowadays, where they say you don't own the game, it's ours completely, and you're just renting it out essentially. And so Japan's done that for a long time. But as the economy in Japan's been struggling for the past forever, it seems, it's been hard for smaller arcades in particular, to be paying out a third or more of every 100 yen that is played on every single play. And now, of course, I understand why manufacturers love that, but for arcade operators, it's not a great business practice. You know, a lot of them end up going out of business. So Arcadia allows you to own the hardware, no revenue sharing whatsoever. Again, that's been a bigger thing over in Japan. but still beneficial for smaller arcades here in the States. And they have a lot of content. And now, of course, these are skill-based games, what you would maybe call hardcore games, like fighting games and shoot 'em ups and stuff like that. But they are available worldwide. It's not just Japan. And so a lot of these games that oftentimes start to become a legend over in Japan, oftentimes are just stuck there, or maybe a company like Round One USA or some other small arcade might import a thing here and there. But Arcadia always has full English translations and sells their stuff here. So they've been very busy lately. And so what you see here are all games that they've recently launched. I believe I mentioned some of these. Eartheon Exa Label, which was designed in part by a very famous game sound designer known as Yuzo Koshiro. And he did the soundtracks for Streets of Rage and many, many other games. Again, he's pretty famous if you look up game musicians and such. And I played this at IAAPA last year, very fun game, but looks like a 90s era style game. They also did an upgrade to their popular Axel City 2 one-on-one fighting game. They just started shipping another fighting game, kind of an anime, all-girl fighter, Vanguard Princess R, which has a fan base probably more in Asia than it does here out west. And then they recently announced and released this Hunter x Hunter Nen Impact game, which is a one-on-one fighting game based upon a very popular anime series by the same name. And it looks like we don't really have photos there, but here's like an example of the kit. Small cartridge and all the artwork that you get with that. And given that that has a name and anime is pretty popular out west, if you had an arcade that had that sort of user base, then that's what would likely appeal then. And then they also just announced this Chaos Code Nemesis experiment is now available for pre-order. This is actually a sequel to a game known as Chaos Code. And by my understanding, this is 100% exclusive to arcades. And so you can only get this particular game on the Exa Arcadia. And as there hasn't been any announcements that I've seen for this game to be coming to consoles, which to me is always a bonus, especially with these types of games. Every time I've seen a lot of these games, like fighting games, shoot 'em up games, that without a gun, that just a joystick go to consoles. People just prefer to play them at home. And so again, if your doesn't really focus on fighting games, then this probably doesn't appeal to you. But if you did have this, or you know of another operator where they've been running stuff like Street Fighter, or Tekken, or Soul Calibur, or Marvel vs. Capcom 2, or anything like that, then this would probably appeal to them. And the nice thing is the cost on these things is significantly less than what, even with the full cabinet and the computer inside and getting a new software, it's under $2,000, close to a little over $1,600. And so that's what's nice, at least for my type of arcade. That's really it that I have this week. Again, I figured this would be a little bit shorter. But I do know that there will be news coming up here soon. Like I mentioned, there's Raw Thrills. I do know of some new stuff that Sega is going to be debuting at IAAPA as well, including something related to Daytona Championship USA. And of course, there's going to be some surprises that just don't get announced prior to the show. But whatever does get announced prior to IAAPA, we'll be sure to cover it here. It's just expect more big news dumps happening in the coming weeks. But thanks for watching this episode of Arcade Corner. Keep watching LBX Collective for more news.
Power up your game floor with Arcades by Allen One. Whether it's perfectly pouring drinks in Dr. Pepper Soda Slam, grabbing official Butts on Things plushies, or defending cities from attack and missile command recharge, Allen One has something for every venue and arcade floor that will delight your guests.
Each game is also enhanced with Major League Esports, a free app that tracks player top scores and brings guests back to your venue for more. Visit allen-1.com to learn more. That's allen-1.com.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks, Adam, for that. Yeah, I know there's not a lot of news sometimes, depending on where we are in the overall news cycle up to IAAPA, but there's definitely going to be some more stuff coming out, especially, you know, as you mentioned, raw thrills, etc. So, anyway, that was Arcade Corner down in Pratt. Next, we've got promo pro tips with Chuck DeMonte, and this is going to be a good one. Let's do it.
Hello and welcome to Promo Pro Tips with Chuck DeMonte. That is me. And today I want to discuss something that is super, super, super important for you getting visitors and key visitors, whether you're new, you're 2 years old, 10 years old, right? And so I want to start it off with a statistic that I read. I find really, really interesting. Okay. So in a study conducted by IPG Media Brands, right? And this is the out-of-home so like billboards and stuff like that service. So they said 11 studies conducted over 15 months for a range of retail brands demonstrated a direct correlation between frequency of exposure to out-of-home ads and visits to specific advertised stores. Consistently, the data showed that more people the out-of-home ad, the more likely they were to visit the advertised store. Across these 11 studies, 6.28% of people who saw the out-of-home ad one time were observed to visit the advertised store. Those, and this is where it gets interesting, those who saw the ad 3 times were more than twice as likely to visit. But those who saw the out-of-home ad 14 times or more, they were more than 4 times as likely to have visited the advertised store with an average visitor rate of nearly 25%, meaning fully 1/4 of people exposed to the out-of-home ads were observed to visit the advertised store. Okay, so what does that mean, right? Frequency, multiple touch points, and staying consistent, right? You have to stay top of mind if you want people to continuously not only become a first-time customer, but become a repeat customer, okay? So now I've seen a lot of stats that say the average, Phelan Entertainment Center, location-based entertainment center brand has an average of 2.1, I think, visits per year. Now, we do a lot of analyzation of a lot of clients and prospective clients, and they consistently, I see them 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 on average, right, through some of the tools we use. And I think the people that are on the higher end that we see sometimes in the 3s are bringing up that average, right? And I think a lot of people, I guess, we'll see, you have to see what the mean is, not necessarily maybe the average, fall below the 1.5 or lower, right? And so how do you accomplish this? So one, you need to have multiple touch points. It makes it easier, right? And what does that mean? So multiple channels, okay? What does that mean? Again, we've discussed this on the segment before of they open Facebook, open Instagram, open TikTok, let them see you and see your brand, right? Get an email from you, get a text message from you, right? See a flyer, a postcard from you, right? Those are all channels and touch points to stay top of mind. And so let me give you a real world example of this. Not 2 weeks ago, I went to a farm or something local by me to do, fall pumpkin picking, get the cinnamon donuts and all that other stuff. The playground was there. My son had, running around. I don't remember what the name of the place is at all. No clue, right? Will I return next year? Maybe my wife remembers the name of the place, but I honestly have no clue what the name of the place is. But if they captured my information while I was there or had some sort of mechanism, right? We don't, I know people say it's always a great way to capture people's information, but if you're not a location that gets waiver signed, even if you are, get creative. How are you capturing people's information, right? Have them enter to win a giveaway, tag. I don't know. There's a million different ways, and I don't want to take the time for this, segment to dive into those strategies. But if they would have captured my information and now, somehow they've got me to follow them on Instagram while I was there, or, give them my email address. Now they're emailing me. Guess what? I would 100% by now probably have remembered the name of their brand, right? But if they didn't say consistent, 6 months from now, I would consistently seeing emails from them, consistently seeing Instagram, posts from them, right? I'm going to remember them. And guess what? Next year, the likelihood of me going back, or maybe they're doing something for Christmas, I don't know, or another time of the year, the likelihood of me going back there increases significantly, right? So all that's good and well, right? The marketing channels, they're simple. They're take yourself, for example, what do you do in your day? What do? You go on emails, right? What do you do? How do you put your stuff up in those places? Okay. That's the easy piece. Consistency is the piece that really extrapolates and makes these results grow exponentially, okay? Because if you're not consistently doing it, you're not going to be in these channels when they open it up. And again, they're going to forget, right? You're going to go out of their algorithm. You're going to go into their spam box, whatever, right? So how do you stay consistent? And we've discussed this before as well, but content, right? Get a videographer out there and then one day sit down and schedule a bunch of posts, right? Get a person to hire somebody locally to do it. Hire a marketing agency like us to do it, right? I do want to back this up by saying there's a great book called Who Not How, right? Now, there's not always a budget. There's not, you need to be think about, you can't pay everybody to do everything, maybe. But you always want to try and look at that angle. Who, not how. If you want to grow and delegate and be a successful business owner, general manager, whatever, you have to delegate, right? So who, not how, okay? Maybe you don't know how to post on social media. Okay, who can do it for me? And I always think you should think through that lens, okay? So again, being consistent, having days where you batch content, right? And posting content, having days where you create 2 emails. I don't need you to create 700 emails or 7 emails a month, right? Create 2 emails a month and send them out, okay? Create text messages and send those in, right? So again, it's all about consistency. And I think the best way to do consistency is structuring your days and weeks and months to do certain things, right? Like, 30 days before the next quarter, you're sitting down and planning for what those promos are going to be and planning what those marketing channels are going to be and planning what that flyer is going to look like and, what those distribution channels look like. So you need to sit down and plan. And again, you might have to work a lot more hours than you're working now, right? So you could build the brand and make more money and then eventually pay people to do the things, right? But there's only one way sort of to accomplish this, and that's just to actually just get the work done, right? So you got to have that conversation with yourself as well. Are you up for it? But at the end of the day, the statistics are clear. The more people see your brand, the more they're going to remember you, the more likelihood they're going to become a customer, okay? So it's up to you. Do you want to stay in front of them or do you not? So I encourage you, find a few channels that you can do consistently and do them pretty well, right? To stay in front of people and capture people's information so you can market to them, okay? You do this consistently, you will increase your brand. Now, I better have good operations and a good income there, but given that's, probably the case, get in front of people, you will increase your brand and your revenue.
Intercard is the only cashless system designed, developed, and manufactured all under one roof. They introduced cashless technology to the amusement industry and have been leading the way for over 30 years. Cashless systems from Intercard increase customer spending, guest satisfaction, and boost revenues by up to 30%. Intercard is so proud to be serving the amusement industry, and if you aren't already part of their global family of customers, they hope you will become one soon.
All right. Well, we've got Sound Off number 96 coming up this week with Kevin Williams. It's going to come out on Tuesday, October 28th. And man, we are just rolling through the rest of this year. We've got IAAPA coming up in just a few weeks, and I'm excited to talk about some IAAPA preview stuff, some IAAPA post debrief stuff, and we'll be bringing in different guests and things as we get there. So we got a lot of stuff coming up. But that's a wrap for this week's LBX show. This is Brandon Wiley signing off. Stay tuned and keep kicking it.